Meanwhile, as sporadic fighting continues in the Central African Republic, many continue to seek refuge in neighboring countries. Cameroon has become one of them. People are making camp in Tongo Gandima village east of the country. The Central African Republic has been in chaos since 2013 when the Seleka, which draws mostly from the country's minority Muslim population, toppled then-President Francois Bozize. A spike of violent attacks in the CAR over the last 6 weeks is dashing hopes of any early return for the migrants and the refugees who are spread out across villages in eastern Cameroon. Eastern Cameroon, as we know, is home to almost 260,000 refugees from neighboring Central African Republic, where sectarian violence in 2013 killed scores of people and forced thousands more to flee. Voters in Ivory Coast overwhelmingly approved a new constitution in a weekend referendum, according to provisional results announced by the Elections Commission on Tuesday. The opposition, however, denounced the turnout figure, saying it was fraudulent. President Alassane Ouattara had argued that the new charter, would help the nation turn the page on a decade-long crisis that was capped by a 2011 civil war and create the stability needed to cement its status as Africa's rising economic star. The results showed about 93% of voters backed the text on a turnout of around 42%. Commission President Youssouf Bakayoko said on state-owned television that there was no turnout threshold for the vote to be deemed valid. Opposition leaders have called for a boycott, branding the constitution a ploy to further entrench Ouattara's political coalition. Some urged their supporters to disrupt the process, and violence erupted at around 100 polling stations during the referendum on Sunday. The African Development Bank's board has approved a $600 million loan for Nigeria, aimed at helping the country plug its budget deficit as it grapples with its first recession in more than 20 years. The loan is the first tranche in a total of $1 billion budget support package. A second disbursement of $400 million is dependent upon the implementation of reforms, according to the bank's country director, Usman Dore. Dore said one of the main triggers for the release of the remaining tranche will be when the government spells out its plan for overcoming its current economic challenges. If it meets the bank's reform requirements, the tranche is expected to be approved by the board by early next year. Nigeria's economy has been shrinking largely as a result of a plunge in oil prices since mid-2014. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullah, has criticized some aides of President Muhammadu Buhari and the handing of the letter the executive sent to the National Assembly for external borrowing. Now, according to him, these aides of the president are deliberately frustrating the relationship between the executive and the legislature.
If you look at the letter from Mr. President, it said attached herewith is the borrowing plan. And I will tell you, it was not attached. But this is the reality, unfortunately, and I think it calls to mind that, yes, it's time for us to reappraise certain positions that have been given to certain people. If people are not competent, I think they should just step aside and allow the president, who has the will and the mind. It's not the duty of Mr. President to see that the letter is attached. It's somebody's duty. What is the chief of staff doing? What is all the secretary to the government of the federation? What are they doing? So these are the fundamental issues. And we have said it before. We have said it before that certain things are done to set Mr. President against the legislature. And I think this is a classical example of how these things are done to set us up. Because what we simply did is saying that in doing our job, we are not giving enough information to do our job. And we all know, if you go to the bank to take a loan, is it possible you write a letter to the bank manager and you will not attach any plan that he can look at to see whether when he gives you this money, actually this money will be able to serve the purpose and that you'll be able to return that money? So I think these are fundamental issues. And like I said, it's quite unfortunate, but as it is, if all of these issues are addressed and brought back, the Senate is more than desirous to see that something positive comes out of it.
Let's take you to Kenya now, where elephants are being fitted with collars at the Amboseli National Park, making a total of 14 elephants who have been under the tracking program in the country conducted by Kenya's Wildlife Service and the International Fund for Animal Welfare.
Putting a radio collar on a fully grown elephant was never going to be an easy job. Vets in Kenya used darts to knock out the latest 2 animals to be fitted with the tracking devices. The animals were spotted out in areas where herders were grazing livestock, underscoring the importance of the scheme to follow their movements.
We can map out the critical corridors and dispersal areas, give that information to development planners. We can zone out and separate conflicting land uses, mitigate human conflict, allow tourism and allow human development.
The latest coloured animals bring the total to 14 in the Amboseli National Park. Kenya's successful conservation drive has doubled the country's population of wild elephants in the past 35 years to 32,000, but it comes with a price.
And you know, Kenya does value its elephants. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani.